All right, I call to order the Board of Trustees regular meeting for December 16th, 2025 at 6 p.m. Everybody rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, can I get a roll call, please?
Supervisor File. Here. Clerk Newbeck here. Trustee Hayward.
Here.
Trustee Morocco.
Here.
Trustee Nalamothu. Here. Trustee Tedder.
Here.
And Treasurer Brown is absent this evening. We have a quorum.
Great. Can I get an approval for a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Board public announcement, board members and/or individuals in the audience may make a statement containing information about a recent or upcoming event. If you're going to do, please come up to the podium, give your name and address, and I will let you have 5 minutes, and I will let you know when you're at 4 so you can wrap it up. Got all that in before you got up there.
Good evening. I'm Joette Kuntz, 9740 Reese Road in Clarkston. Saturday, December 13th, was Wreaths Across America Day. The township owns the cemeteries in Clarkston, and at Lakeview Cemetery, we have about 1,150 veterans buried there. This is the third year that we have worked on this project. The idea is to put a wreath on each veteran's grave, or every veteran we can. The community buys the wreaths. Family members, community members, one of our trustees, Mr. Morocco, bought 10. And the American Legion bought 10. So there are a lot of different people, Wentz bought 10. And so we had 340 wreaths to put on 1,139 graves. Even if you go out to Great Lakes, they cannot put 20,000 wreaths on. They don't have 20,000 wreaths because these are paid by the community or family members. So this is a project of the Daughters of the American Revolution, Sashbaugh Plains chapter. But we have partners in the North Oakland Veterans of Foreign Wars, number 334, which is the Lake Orion and Oxford, and that's our closest VFW. And the Department of Public Works, under the direction of Dave McKee, is very, very helpful. And that's what I really want to talk about, is some members of his department who came out. Tony Houle, David Welke, and also helpful for me is Carol Ann Strahan and Dave McKee. But Tony and David helped us. 340 wreaths sound like a lot. They're 12 to a box. They're about 30 boxes. They were supposed to be delivered on, I believe it was Wednesday, whatever day it snowed. Supposed to be delivered at 8 a.m. that day. Well, obviously that didn't happen. But they were an excellent, excellent support staff, and they're great employees, and I really want to thank that department for all they did, because we couldn't do it. It's 18 degrees out there. We had a short program, but they were great employees.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else in the audience would like to come up and make an announcement? Yep, please. Just state your name and address, please.
Ray Llewellyn, 9254 Pine Knob Road. I just want to give a total shout out and recognition to Joette, because she does a lot of stuff in this community and brings in a lot of the community members to be involved. That event at Lakeview, I mean, yes, it took place on Saturday, but prior to Saturday, she got a few volunteers together. We went out there and put flags, and I say flags, the little wire flags, on the graves for the veterans, so that we would know in advance when everybody came with the wreaths where these veterans were buried. And two, maybe people are not, aware or recognizing, but that cemetery, the graves go back to the Revolutionary War. So thank you, Joette.
Anybody else in the audience? Anybody online? Okay, then, and the board, anybody on the board wants to make a public announcement?
I do.
Trustee
I
Hayward?
regret the passing away of Bob Eggert, also known as Baseball Bob. He passed away on December 5th. He was also a veteran of the Vietnam War. Although he did live in Brandon Township. He was a big part of our community. He was very involved with the American Legion, specifically the baseball program, for several years, probably 30 years at least, minimum, as a coach, as an announcer, and his service was last Friday. So, but I just wanted to let everybody know, because he did a lot of things in our community, and I know a lot of the people at the American Legion, the Chief Pontiac one especially, will be missed, so.
Good. Anybody else? No? Okay, then I'm gonna close board and public announcements. Next, we're gonna do public comments. Anybody in the audience can come up and, once they've been recognized by the chair, to speak at the podium, and comments no more than 5 minutes regarding items that do not appear on the agenda. Does anybody have any public comments in the audience? No? Okay. How about online? No? Okay. How about the board? Was that a hand up or?
That was me wiping water from my lips, sorry.
All right, then I'm going to close public comments. Next thing on the public hearing, we don't have any. We do have, looks like 3 presentations tonight. The first one is going to be the Dixie Highway Downtown Development Authority on the annual 2025 informational meeting. This is interesting
Thought it was Dick Carroll.
because, pardon me? Oh, is he joining us online?
He's not on.
He's not on. We were looking for Dick Carlisle to make that presentation. All right, well, I don't see it, so we're going to move on to the next one, which is, well, that's going to be him as well. So we'll move on from there, and we're going to get to the one I think everybody's waiting for, which is the Residential Open Space Advisory Committee.
We are all here. I was a little bit worried for a couple minutes, but we're here too. Thank you.
State your name, please.
My name, Joe Sucher, 5071 Hilltop Estates Drive, Clarkston, Michigan, 48348.
Yep.
As of when I left a few minutes ago. We're going to make just an annual presentation, sort of, just to familiarize you with what we've been doing for the last year. Our actual first annual presentation was last year, but it never came off for some reason. And I think it had to do with the election and changing things up at the township and whatnot and so forth, so we never made it. So this is our first annual ROAC presentation a year late, but that's okay. Why are there ROACs? And I don't mean ROACs here, but just in general, open space committees. It's to protect open space. And in that, in turn, help communities to protect their environment, improve the quality of life, preserve critical elements of local heritage, culture, and the economy. By the way, if I lisp a little bit, I'm practicing. I have a new set of choppers. And they're being adapted, whatever. Okay, natural areas in the open space can be used for recreation. Wetlands and forests supply storm water protection and water runoff. So, and in rapidly growing areas, which we are, I don't think we're considered that, can offer relief from congestion and other negative effects. So those are in general some of the benefits. Well, I'm sure that these were not a part of the discussions when ROAC was created here, and I wasn't a part of those discussions, so I don't really know. But these certainly can be benefit to be sure. ROAC here is or should be a resource to other operations in the township, by providing information and recommendations and a variety of topics which in general support the intent and mission statement of ROAC. And I just want to read a little bit of that rather than pass out bylaws, which I don't have copies of anyways. ROAC here is dedicated to preserving the township's natural beauty, rural character, and quality of life by protecting open spaces, natural resources, water quality, and wildlife habitats. We fulfill this mission by advising township leadership, educating the community, supporting passive recreation and conservation partnerships, and promoting smart land use and zoning policies that ensure long-term environmental stewardship for the benefit of current and future residents. Basic history. We've been in operations now for 2.5 years, believe it or not. Our first meeting was June 14th, 2023, where 12 of us or so sat at a bunch of tables up in the lobby meeting and listening to what the general purpose of this new committee was. And the 12 or 13 of us that were up there were members who were appointed to this committee without really knowing much about it. The second meeting was July 12th. Officers were elected, and we reviewed the bylaws that were presented, written by Dick Carlisle. So I don't know how much communication there was between township administration and Carlisle writing those bylaws, but that's the one we were first presented with. Third meeting was August the 9th. We adopted those bylaws. We had made some amendments to them. We had definitions of open space in our mission statement. And the last meeting I'm going to talk about is the fourth meeting on September the 13th. We actually made recommendations to the board and the supervisor with supporting information on the purchase of the 38 acres that were adjacent to the Clintonwood Park. We also began to define the 3 subcommittees that we thought we needed to be operationalized, and they were the regulation, communications, land ID, and acquiring committees. To carry out our work, we began staffing the same. Since that time, the full ROAC committee has been meeting monthly, and the subcommittees meeting on an as-needed basis. Subcommittees bring their finished work to the full committee and for discussion and determination of what action that we should take. We will take. This operation has been successfully run since October of 2023 and until the summer of 2025. Not that it's unsuccessful, but when this summer the full committee determined that it was time to consider fine-tuning our operations. For instance, do we need 13 members or 6 or 7, a better number? Now, we don't have 13 right now. We have much fewer than that. But should we get along with that? Or do we need to boost up to 13, which is kind of like why we went to subcommittees to begin with, because 13 is kind of like an unruly crowd in the meeting room to discuss, some very limited topic. Should some committees be formed and used only in the case where we have specific projects that need to be resolved? Should ROAC meet monthly, quarterly, twice a month? These are just some of the questions that we have as we begin refining our operation, the definition of how we operate going on in the future. These and other related issues are on the agenda for beginning in 2026. Okay, that's the basic background. Now it's time to hear from 3 of the members who do the work. First, from Dr. Partel, who has been a member of the Land ID and Acquisition Subcommittee, who will speak on some research he has been involved in, followed by Joette, and that's okay, Thomas? And then by Bill Scarborough, who has been working in the Regulation Subcommittee. The plan is to open up the floor for Q&A after Bill talks, so at the end of the 3 presentations, which will be 15 minutes. And so that's it. Tom, the floor is yours.
Hello, I'm Tom Pytel. I live at 8330 Morningstar Drive in Clarkston. And I was on the subcommittee involved in land acquisition, spotting out different parcels, seeing what's available. So I was on the subcommittee with Deanna Hunter and Mr. Parker. And so what we started out was identifying just the land in the township using real estate numbers from the real estate agent. Our township has approximately 22,000 acres, 1,300 are water. And so when we looked at the total acreage, there's 2,200 acres in common areas or parkland already. Common areas include transmission line property or parks and also school properties. And so when we looked at what was left available in parcels that are 5 acres or more but do not have a structure on them, or have a structure but yet it's still available to purchase for potential preservation, we identified 1,500 acres, and I'm not going to bore you with acres, but there were 67 parcels. And so just to look at it statistically, if we follow the guidelines by the Global Biodiversity Framework, or an idea that came out 30 by 30, 30% of acres preserved by the year 2030. It's just a number of conservation groups throughout there. Maybe that'd be a good goal. But the point is, even if we took these acreages that are still available in our township, the 1,500 acres, we would not hit 30 by 30 with preserved properties. Now I know there's lots of properties that people have a quarter-mile property and just have a little structure on there. That's essentially preserved areas, but it still could be developed by somebody. It's not conservation easement or conservation properties. So if I look at the total available in our county, our township, it's right now we have, let's see, 10.4% would be, as opposed to 30%, we're at 10%. If we took all these acres that are still available to preserve completely, that would bring us up to 17%, so we would never hit 30% totally preserved in conservation properties because of the development that's already happened. That's just a target. It's just a target. For example, Walden Village is 7 over 67 acres, or 10% open space, just as a small example, and comparing that to the whole township. My subcommittee with Deanna Hunter and Eric Parker focused on the 67 parcels. We met monthly to rate these parcels and what we thought were the most important, and assigned promising parcels ratings based on Rochester Hills' Green Space Committee. And after consulting with the Blue Heron Conservancy, Springfield Township, and Rochester Hills, these were rated on criteria such as wetlands, habitat, and recreational potential. They were assigned numbers and ranked as a practice procedure in the event that our township ever was interested in this sort of thing with like a naturalist or a restoration individual to work on these kind of things like Rochester Hills has. They have a person that's just involved in not only parks and rec activities, baseball, soccer, but also in preservation, restoration, and purchase. I spoke with Rochester Hills extensively. They have 8 individuals that rate these properties, finalize results, then they go after monies from the county, the township, and from their ballot drive. And we also shared this methodology with the Independence Planning Commission and our Parks and Rec. Then with permission from property owners or the realtors, we then walked about 6 of these properties, including the school property there on Reese Road, the property adjacent to Clintonwood Park, which is very wet. That's been for sale there just next to Clintonwood. It's very marshy. Allen Road property, American Legion parcel, and now the Sold Horse Farm on Reese and Oak Hill Road, which after a little bit of libation, we decided could have been a good wedding venue or a teaching farm or a horseback riding thing for Independence Township, like Hess Hathaway Park and Waterford Township is, something like that. So that was my point. And then the other thing I was asked to address is, do township people really care about this? And I have a little bit of experience in this because in 2008, now deceased Jim Reed and I and some others, with his wife Barb Reed, we put together an open space ballot proposal. And I just have some samples. We actually hired the Tell Opinion research firm. I think it was about $12,000, and they did a phone opinion poll. on the township residents. And this was in 2008, at the time things were just crashing. And so it was a bad time to do it, but we already had the money into it, so we went ahead and proceeded. And so just a few of the questions. It's a very long opinion poll, but would you say open land is being developed too quickly? 62% agreed. Preserve nature and walking trails, 81% of the township agreed. Protect wetlands, 82% approved. Protect drinking water, 93% approved. Of course, everybody would approve of that. So then the question was, should the township authorize a levy of 0.6 of 1 mil for 10 years to purchase recreation land? 43% favored it, 43% opposed, so 14% were undecided. There are many pages in the report. I just mentioned a few, but it broke the township down into geographical sections, and you could see which precincts were in favor of it, which were not in favor of it. The proposal was defeated 56 to 44%, and I didn't think that was too bad for a first-time effort, as most successful ballot initiatives usually go 2 or 3 times. They refine it and trim it down a little bit, and that was in 2008, so things were not financially very good then. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Joette Kuntz, 9740 Reese Road. My kind of position on the Open Space Committee was education. And as a committee, there's 2 parts to it. Our education as committee members, but it's also the township, trying to understand what township residents really want. So we have, we went to professionals and we went to the residents. So we met with a lot of community leaders that have created open space for their communities, including Ken Elwell from the Rochester Hills Park, Jason Meekoff and Sue Julian of Blue Heron Conservancy, Mike Losey, who was a former natural resources specialist for Springfield Township, Oakland County planning officials regarding the mappings of animal pathways, green spaces, open space in the township, and other townships. We looked at the township over time to see there was lots of farming in the township, but what has never been farmed and what has been farmed and what has happened to the farming areas. We're also looking at old growth trees. That 38 acres we have that's very close to Independence Township or Independence County Park, which also has some old growth trees. We're asking their naturalists to take a look at that northern end and see if we have some old growth trees. Old growth trees are those that have been here for hundreds of years. We have a lot of tamaracks out there in the water, where they love water, so we do have tamaracks. We met with the residents of the community. We've had a booth at their Clarkson Family Farm, so we see a lot of young families there. We had a booth at Blue Heron Land Conservancy, one of their native plant sales, and you see all ages there. So those are where most of our discussions with residents have been. Residents tell us they like the rural charm of the community. They are not pleased with the development on Walden Road because it has no boundaries, natural boundaries. Many of the young families say they would like to see more land left natural, and you can see that we interact with the community and try to be a well-educated committee. Thank you.
Good evening. Bill Scarborough, 5704 Nob Hill Circle. One of the responsibilities of the ROAC committee is to recommend changes and additions to our zoning ordinance that would further promote the preservation of open space and natural resources. In that regard, one of the things they did was to recommend some initial changes, initial tree ordinance that didn't go very far for various reasons. They then drafted or gathered together 4 ordinances from various communities in southeast Michigan to put together the basis for a good viable tree ordinance. And they then handed that off to the Planning Commission. As you know, that was divided essentially into 2 stages. The first stage was recently approved by you. Second stage is still in process. The Open Space Committee also drafted and recommended to the board various minor amendments to our PUD ordinance that would place stronger emphasis on open space preservation in considering the various discretionary aspects in PUD rezonings. These will be considered by the Planning Commission along with other more comprehensive amendments to the PUD ordinance in 2026. One of the other things they did is the state of Michigan amended its definition of obnoxious weeds to exclude milkweed. The presence of milkweed is essential to the survival of the monarch butterfly. ROAC presented the board with these changes, and the board did do the first reading. We are still waiting on the second reading. It is ROAC's plan to continue to promote zoning ordinance amendments which will preserve and enhance open space. Some examples could be increased setbacks, buffer zones, replacement of diseased trees which are removed but are required by site plan approval, and encourage the dedication of open space created during development to land conservancies. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that's it for the presentation. So if there are any questions at all, you can fire away and we'll get the people up here to answer them.
I would like to make a comment regarding that. The board at a presentation is allowed to make comments for sure, but there's not supposed to be deliberation. So if the board wants to make comments, they can absolutely do that.
Okay, does questions, is that
I think a
considered
question
deliberation?
falls under a I don't know if it does or doesn't. Does it?
No, questions would.
Okay, all right. So just wanted to set that tone.
Okay, I don't have any questions.
Anybody on the board? Comments, questions?
I just have a comment. I think that it's great to have a committee like that can at least bring us information regarding things that we may not necessarily know about, which is the open space that we have, what is viable, what's not, and to be able to preserve it based on, you know, your recommendations and things that you see, that you have a committed group of people that are willing to sit down and go through all these things, look at all the available land, and I just think that it's you guys have done a lot of work, and I think there's value to it. So I just want to thank you for that.
Okay, thank you. I don't think, and it's my fault, that we've done a good enough job communicating a lot of what we're doing with the board. I mean, we have no formal meetings or anything like that. So I think that in 2026, we're going to come up with something like maybe quarterly reports to you, whether they be written or oral, I don't know. But we do a lot of work behind the scenes, in a lot of different venues, different shows and talking to, naturalists and other communities. We're educating ourselves. We've had 2 or 3 presentations by naturalists at our meetings to tell us what's going on. What is an environmentalist? What's a naturalist? What are we doing in Springfield Township? What are we doing in Rochester? So that we can formulate some plans for here. So we need to do a better job of sharing that with you and not overburdening you with stuff you don't want to hear or don't need to know at that point in time, but things that might trigger some interest, and you would come back to us and say, why don't you do a little bit more of this, or can you look at this? Kind of like the Clinton with the 38 acres. We were, kind of like asked, go in there and take a look at that for us. We're considering buying it. What do you guys think? Which we did very early on. So, I mean, we need to be a good resource to the community. I think that we are. We need to be a good resource to the board and to all the administrative operations, the Planning Commission, Parks and Rec, et cetera, et cetera. So we're refining things to make that a little bit better. And, I don't know, that's the best I can say at the moment.
Okay,
Okay?
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Make a comment,
Sure.
since I was on
Trustee Moore.
ROAC before. I would say, the creation of ROAC, I think, I've always thought was important. I was involved in trying to get it started. What I learned on the planning commission after, in 20 years is that the planning commission works on projects, or on things that are put in front of them. And there really wasn't anybody looking at the community, how to save property, how to preserve stuff. There just isn't, everyone's got a job, and this was outside the scope of people's jobs, and that's what is lacking. I think that's why a lot of communities have natural environmentalists and other positions where they're paid, where they have somebody whose job is to do basically what ROAC does for free as a volunteer organization for the township, and instead of us paying someone to pay attention, was never anyone paying attention. And, and I think that if you can get a group of people that are willing to give up their time and put energy and effort into it, then, that's a good thing. And it's important that it's in the forefront. Someone's at least thinking about it. There's got to be somebody thinking about it if you want to preserve it, or if you want to control it, or if you want to be conscious of its decay, So, I think it's a great thing. I appreciate that everybody stuck with it and that they're to give up all their time to work on it, And I think it has may not have a noticeable benefit every minute, but it has to be there. So as time goes on, we can lean on them, get information from them, and have them force us to think about stuff that we're maybe not thinking about because we're busy thinking about other stuff. And that's the key, is to keep it in the forefront of everyone's mind that we gotta pay attention before it's, lost, or or the character of the township's too changed, and then we realize it's too late, so I appreciate that. And your efforts, Joe, you put a hell of a lot of effort into being the chair for so long, and I appreciate that.
It's been fun, to say the least. One of the things that, I have grown to appreciate, I guess, is that after that first meeting where you presented, what ROAC was gonna do and all that, we were kind of like handed, okay, here's the ball. Okay, it's in your court now. Your next meeting is next month. We're not sure where you're gonna hold the meeting, whether it be in the lobby or down here, but we'll figure that out later. And we had nothing. We had no road maps, no direction, no orders, nothing. And so it's taken a while to get it going. But we need to get everybody's input on what we should be doing that we're not doing in order to be useful. We want to make sure that we are useful, and that will take some more communications and dialogue. So that's fine. I appreciate your comments, and it's a case we're working on, I guess. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, let's move on to carryover postponed agenda items. There aren't any. Consent agendas. Items include one, request to approve the Board of Trustees regular meeting minutes of December 2nd, 2025. Second one is request to approve the December 9th, 2025 check run, including ACH for $734,991.79, and to ratify the December 5th, 2025 payroll for $326,106.18, and the October 2025 EFT ACH wire activity for $1,082,697.39. And three, to request to accept Parks, Recs, and Senior Advisory Committee bylaw revisions. Can I get a motion to approve the consent items as presented?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, passed. Items removed from consent agenda, there isn't any. Regular business, after being recognized by the chair, member of the public shall have the opportunity to address the township board on items listed on the agenda. Speaker may go to the podium, identify him or herself, and limit their comments to not more than 5 minutes. There shall be no further comments received from the public once the item has been brought back to the board for discussion and a vote. However, limited situations can make variations. Number one is to request to appoint board and committee members for the Clarkston Independent District Library. This is the one that I brought forth as part of the township and with the village. We have a co-board over there. We are, give me a second, sorry. We are looking to reappoint 5 individuals, or appoint or reappoint. These are all been the ones that have been recommended by the actual library group over there. And like I said, 4 of them are reappointments and 1 is an appointment. Any questions or comments from the public on this? Okay, I shouldn't have said questions, just comments. Any questions online? Comments? Okay, any from the board? Nope, all right. Can I get a motion to reappoint Janice Jaffney?
I'll make a motion to reappoint Janice Gaffney to the Clarkston Independence District Library for a 3-year term expiring December 31st, 2028.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Can I get a motion to appoint Tim Holcomb?
I'll make a motion to reappoint Tim Holcomb to the Clarkston Independence District Library for a 3-year term expiring December 31st, 2028.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'll make a motion to reappoint Alan Panter to the Clarkston Independence District Library for a 3-year term expiring December 31st, 2028.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I'll make a motion to reappoint Allison McFadden Kiesling to the Clarkston Independence District Library for a 3-year term expiring December 31st, 2028.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And lastly, I'll make a motion to appoint James Drolet to the Clarkston Independence District Library for a 3-year term expiring December 31st, 2028.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Out of curiosity, are any of these individuals?
No.
Pardon me? Is there any of these individuals in the audience? Nope, okay. All right, the next item on the agenda is request to appoint board and committee members to the Board of Review. This is something that's required and it has to be done by the end of the year. In here, we are looking to appoint Cheryl Waring. She is currently a, what do you call it?
Alternate.
Alternate? Alternate, she's moving up to the actual board, and then Daniel Nash to fill the seat of the alternate. Any questions from the audience? Comments? Any comments online? No? Any from the board? Nope, all right. Can I get a motion to appoint Cheryl Waring then?
I move to appoint Cheryl Waring to the Board of Review to complete Vicky Navarre's term expiring on December 31st, 2026.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next, appoint Daniel Nash.
I move to appoint Daniel Nash to the Board of Review as an alternate member with a term expiring on December 31st, 2026.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, they're both appointed. Next item there is a request to approve the
Can we make sure there's no one here to be sworn in? I
Yeah,
don't believe so.
no, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't, they're not here.
All right.
Okay? Next on the agenda item is the request to approve the second reading and adoption of ordinance number 2025-10-001, which is the titled rental housing certification. And for that, we have the Director of the Building Planning, David Moran.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for
Good
the opportunity to present the second reading of the proposed new rental ordinance for the Charter Township of Independence. This is proposed as an amendment to the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 10, by adding a new Article 4 titled Rental Housing Certification. As you will recall from the first reading, this ordinance has been developed to address a couple of items of importance. Number one, compliance with the requirements of Public Act 230, the Single State Construction Code Act of 1972, which outlines the responsibilities of the township to all residents and all structures within the jurisdiction. Number 2, to address critical issues related to the rental properties within the township, ensuring building safety, maintenance of neighborhoods while outlining clear expectations for both property owners and tenants. Over the past couple of weeks, I've incorporated feedback, clarified language, and ensured that the ordinance aligns with current township goals and applicable legal standards. My goal has been to provide the township board with the information needed to confidently consider adoption of this amendment and to ensure that the ordinance serves the long-term interests of the community. With that, I want to begin by reviewing the revisions made since the first reading of the amendment. First, the definition of residential rental unit clarifies as a rental unit is a non-owner who pays rent to the owner regardless of length of occupancy. This ordinance amendment addresses both long-term and short-term rentals. Secondly, the rental unit definition clarifies the right of the property owners to assist immediate family members in the exchange for consideration. Thirdly, in section 10-87C3 clarifies compliance for the incentive bonus by addressing potential outstanding utility bills or debts to the township. Also, the fee schedule is presented as a resolution and will need to be presented for approval separately as required. Lastly, as a building official representing the township, I'm a proponent of this ordinance amendment and would respectfully request your approval of it. And that's pretty much it in recapping from the first reading. So if you have any questions, I'll do my best to address them at this time.
I just have a quick question on the fee structure. Is there an annual fee?
There's an initial fee for registration. That's a one-time fee. But the certification process is a 3-year process. So they only get certified. Again, the goal is a biennial certification with a 3rd-year bonus. That's an opportunity for them. So it's not an annual fee at all for the certification. It's either a 2-year certification or a bonus 3-year certification.
And what's the fee for the certification?
That is,
Because I see the, the registration fee,
yep,
but, and I mean, I'm just maybe not
I believe that's $120.
renewal, okay, because there's some type over stuff on here, but I think it's the renewal administration fee $75, right? Is
That's
that-
for the renewal. So the initial for single family is different than duplexes and multifamily buildings. So single family houses would be $120.
And then it's 75
And
annually
75
with a
for
potential
recertification
3-year
subsequent.
waiver? On a waiver on the 3rd year if you comply and,
Correct.
okay. Okay.
Any other questions from the board? No? We kind of jumped up, but anybody in the audience?
Do you see that?
Anyone online? Okay, can I get a motion to approve the second? We got another one?
No, I just want to make, on that renewal administration fee, do you guys see where there's typing over typing? Is that, Dave, on our packet, there's
It'll
some.
be clear in the resolution.
Okay, yeah, I just want to make sure we're good with that. 'cause
We'll make sure it's clear in the resolution.
All right, I motion to approve the second reading and adoption of the rental housing certification ordinance, number 2025-10-001, amending Chapter 10 of the Code of Ordinances by adding new Article 11 titled Rental Housing Certification as presented, and direct the township clerk to publish said ordinance in accordance with state law.
Second.
Madam Clerk, can I get a roll call, please?
Clerk Newbeck, yes. Trustee Hayward?
Yes.
Trustee Morocco?
Yes.
Trustee Alamothu?
Yes.
Trustee Tedder?
Yes.
Supervisor File?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, a motion to adopt resolution number 2025-033.
Motion to adopt resolution number 2025-033, setting the fee schedule for the rental housing certification ordinance, contingent upon the approval of the rental housing certification ordinance being approved.
Second?
Madam Clerk, can I get a roll call, please?
Trustee Hayward.
Yes.
Trustee Morocco.
Yes.
Trustee Alamothu.
Yes.
Trustee Tedder.
Yes.
Supervisor File.
Yes.
Clerk Newbeck, yes. Motion carried.
Motion carried. Thank you. Don't go anywhere. Request to approve the second reading and adoption of ordinance amendment number 2025-10-002, property maintenance code.
Yeah, so next up is the second reading of an ordinance that amends Chapter 10, Article 3 of the Code and Ordinances titled Property Maintenance Code by updating the contents from the 2006 current edition of the Property Maintenance Code to the 2021 edition of the International Property Maintenance Code with custom revisions. This update will help facilitate enforcement of the rental housing ordinance that obviously just was passed and is concurrent in offering this consideration. The International Property Maintenance Code is a crucial tool used by communities across the United States and to promote safe, healthy, and well-maintained properties. Once again, the purpose of adopting the International Property Maintenance Code amendment is straightforward: to establish clear, consistent, and enforceable minimum standards for the upkeep of residential and commercial structures within the Charter Township of Independence. These standards ensure that buildings are maintained in a manner that protects the public health, preserves neighborhood quality, and supports the long-term sustainability of our community. In this second reading, the changes that were proposed from the first reading are outlined, and number one was from Section 10-73, amendments of the Property Maintenance Code, H 104.4, which addresses the delinquency of fees that remain unpaid after September 15th shall become a debt to the township. The second revision proposed was, again, at Section 10-73, amendments to the Property Maintenance Code, Section P 109.4, which addresses separate violations which may be consolidated into a single citation violation. The third proposed amendment, a change from the first reading, was Section 10-73, amendments to the Property Maintenance Code, V 602.2, which eliminates the confusion of an exception to maintaining heat in a habitable structure based on an average monthly temperature. So those were the three proposed changes that were incorporated in the ordinance amendment for this second reading. Any questions regarding that?
Okay. Let's start with the audience. Anybody in the audience? No? Anybody online? No? Okay, let's bring it up to the board. Anybody on the board? No? All right, can I get a motion to approve the second reading and adoption of the ordinance?
I'll make a motion to approve the second reading and adoption of ordinance number 2025-10-002, amending Chapter 10, Article 3 of the Code of Ordinances titled Property Maintenance Code, as presented, and direct the township clerk to publish said ordinance in accordance with state law.
Second?
Madam Clerk, can I get a roll call, please?
Trustee Morocco.
Yes.
Trustee Alamothu.
Yes.
Trustee Tedder.
Yes.
Supervisor File.
Yes.
Clerk Newbeck, yes. And Trustee Hayward.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Can I get a motion to approve the property maintenance code inspection checklist? That's presented.
I'll make a motion to approve the property maintenance code inspection checklist as presented.
Second?
Madam Clerk, can I get a roll call, please?
Simple majority. It's not roll call.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, I need a motion to be able to go into closed session to
Excuse me,
deal with,
are we gonna go to Dick first
Yeah.
for this presentation?
While he's ready to go.
so how do we backtrack on an agenda item?
It's fine. It was approved as part of the agenda.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna backtrack, Dick. And we're gonna have you go through And I believe your first one is on the Dixie Highway Downtown Development Authority Annual 2025 Informational Meeting. So we can start there, please?
Thank you. Yeah, Mr. Supervisor, first of all, let me apologize. This hasn't happened very often. In fact, I can't remember when it happened, so I apologize for any inconvenience, and I appreciate Jennifer letting me know that you were waiting for me. So, yeah, the DDA, both these annual reports are required by law. We provide them first to the respective boards, which they both held last month, and now to the Township Board. The DDA is very active at this point in time, collecting TIF revenues, and, has, I would say this last year has been a full year under their belt with the acquisition of the Corbin property for the Gateway Park. That has been, design on that has been completed and is soon to go out for bids. The annual report really is for last year, and what the major activity was the actual acquisition of the property. And this year has been actively involved with planning the property as well as all the other activities that the DDA is choosing to do. I will also say I'm happy to report that the DDA does have a fairly healthy fund balance, and that's the kind of policy that we're trying to carry forward in the coming years. And so that I won't reiterate everything that's in my report, but that is really in essence the activity of the DDA. I would ask that the board accept the report, and we will transmit that report to the other taxing jurisdictions that we are required to send the report to.
Okay, before we do that, any questions or comments from the audience? Any online? Any from the board? No? Okay, that's not normally a motion, is there, for a presentation?
I would just say receive it, file.
Okay, so we've received the file. All right.
Correct.
The next one is the presentation for the Sashabaw Corridor Improvement Authority Annual 2025 Informational Meeting.
The Corridor Improvement Authorities, as you know, most of the activities, or frankly all of the activities, have been completed. I think early in 2024, the CIA completed their last project, which was the installation of the light at Walden Center Drive in Walden. This year, there has been no activity. There has been some discussion about what we want to do moving forward. The CIA is projected to end in 2029, but with the final collections made in 2030, with a fairly healthy balance after all obligations to the Township Board have been paid off. And so the board has begun those kind of discussions and will eventually come to the board with some options towards either discontinuing the CIA or moving forward in terms of requesting an extension of it. But the CIA has really met all their obligations, and now it's just contemplating how we would like to move forward with it over the next several years.
Okay.
And I think that completes the report. It's the same request of the board to accept the report, and we'll pass that report on to the taxing jurisdictions.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the audience? Any from online? Any from the board? No? Okay. We've received it, accept it. Thank you, Dick.
Thank you, Dick.
Thank you, and again, my apologies for any inconvenience I caused to the board tonight. Thank you very much.
I mean,
Merry
once
Christmas, Dick.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Once in 30 years, we'll let you go.
Thank you.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, now to the next item, which is to close session to discuss a legal opinion regarding township properties pursuant to MCL 15.268 and MCL 15.243. Can I get a motion, please, to enter into closed session?
I'll make a motion to enter into closed session to discuss a confidential legal opinion regarding township property pursuant to MCL 15.268H and MCL 15.243G.
Second.
Can I get a roll call, please, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Alamothu.
Yes.
Trustee Tedder.
Yes.
Supervisor File.
Yes.
Clerk Newbeck, yes. Trustee Hayward.
Yes.
Trustee, not Trustee Alamothu, Trustee Morocco.
Yes.
All right, motion carried. So the
Regular meeting at 7:28.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, where are we at now?
And
Where's my agenda? I got it. Communication, future agenda, and items report. Report, Building Department, November 25th, Oakland County Sheriff's Office, November 2025. Proposed amendment to the special rules of procedure for the boards of trustees. State of Michigan, Laura, adult foster care license. Board member comments. Are there any comments?
Yes.
Yes, trustee Hayward.
I'd like to raise a concern about transparency in our communications. The summarized versions of meeting discussions, sometimes with significant omissions or softened language, are being published to the Township Times and posted on the Township's official Facebook page before the board has even approved the official minutes. This practice risks establishing an incomplete or revised public record ahead of the official one, and I'd like the board to discuss whether this aligns with our commitment to transparency under the Open Meetings Act, and whether we should adopt a policy requiring that only approved minutes be distributed publicly, and I'm referring to the, basically the recap, the meeting recap that was recently published, and then to go forward to the Township Times. The recap summary completely removes Sam's apology, his defense of his actions, the lack of resources in regards to legal access. And he's reduced to neutrally saying that he may revisit the issue, although he stated that he will bring charges again. It removed why I voted to rescind our prior ZBA decision, criticisms of processes and oversight of the ZBA, my lack of opportunity to discuss the original case, and removed any sense of ongoing contention or unresolved tension. Instead, it makes the discussion as mild, curious, and largely settled. Now, I didn't read what our note said, but this was specifically regarding, and I have them here. And actually, I'm just going to go ahead and read them. So these were from the official meeting minutes that we just approved. Trustee Morocco apologized for repeating information in his MAIF, noting past discussions with the township attorney and budget constraints at that time. He stated he did the best he could with the resources available. He further indicated that at a future meeting, he will present a revised MAIF with updated charges and bring it back to the board for consideration. Trustee Hayward supported rescinding the ZBA matter, stating that any accusations should be reviewed so they do not linger. He expressed concerns about the lack of oversight of the ZBA, including the absence of a trustee representative, noting the ZBA has been overlooked for years. He added that the board had not previously had the opportunity to discuss the issue the first time the item was presented to the board. Supervisor File stated that the matter has already been addressed through the courts and that all relevant information is available in the court documents for anyone wishing to review it. The summary states, Trustee Morocco again requested authorization to investigate a zoning board of appeals chairperson for alleged malfeasance. After review by the township attorney, the board voted to deny the request. Trustee Morocco indicated that he may revisit the issue at a future meeting. Trustee Hayward expressed interest in understanding the background of the issue, and Supervisor File noted that the matter had previously been addressed in court and that related information could be found at in the court documents. Those are completely two different versions of what actually happened, and my concern is just in the sake of for transparency, that we are publishing on official township Facebook page and now in the Township Times an account of the meeting that actually didn't happen. I mean, they're completely different. And I don't know why that we're doing that. It changes the outlook. Somebody reads it in the Township Times, they read it on Facebook. It shapes public perception first. It's a bland, conflict-free version. The township establishes a mild narrative in the public's mind before anyone sees the more detailed record, which I just pointed out. It marginalizes the official minutes. A lot of times people have already moved on or accepted the softer version of what actually happened. And it also discourages scrutiny The sanitized summary basically says the matter is uncontroversial and settled, which can reduce public interest in digging into the actual discussion or court documents that Supervisor File had mentioned. So I don't know why we're revising what happens at a meeting. And I'd like to discuss, or what people feel also, anybody else feels regarding this. There are other things that were not accurate, by the way, or summarized in maybe one person's opinion of what they thought happened at the meeting. And they're not actually in the, if you looked at the meeting minutes that we just reviewed today, that we just approved, those meeting minutes don't reflect the discussion that we had for some of the motions that we made and things like that. And they weren't accurate anyway, so, based on me going back and re-listening to what was actually said. So I'm not sure why we are using official township communications to communicate something that's not exactly true.
Anybody else got a comment?
I'm more of a question. I've heard through the grapevine, we've got, some communication changes going on in the township. And mostly a point, I agree with what Dave's saying, but I will say that at least there was a mention of the ordinance, the rental ordinance, which I think is important to give people that notice of the last meeting to this meeting to kind of prepare for it. It wasn't exactly, perfectly accurate, but probably because it was written by somebody it's not their field, you know what I mean? But at least it did give people the warning, like, hey, now it's not gonna come out till tomorrow, unfortunately, which we've already voted on the second reading, which is kind of a problem. But it did go out on Facebook at least, so if someone did see it, and we only have like 1,500 followers, but if they did see it, it would, I don't think that I guess I'd say that I don't think that we did a good enough job of letting the people who own rental properties in the township know that we were, that we had passed the first reading, and to give them some time to digest what it was and then come if they had an issue with it. We probably could have done a little better with that, and I'd like to try to do a little better with, especially ordinance changes. Those are kind of my big thing, because they're the rule changes, to do that. So it did do that, though. So I do give it, I do think that if it done correctly, I think that we can all agree that there's information that's beneficial to the residents, and then I think our struggle is there's information that probably isn't as beneficial, that we didn't need 4 pages, or we got to be a little careful about what we say, because it is kind of late. We did miss the, it's coming out tomorrow, and we've already basically had our meeting, so. But my asking about the change in how we're going to deliver information to the public is that I didn't see this meeting being posted, and they have been at all the other meetings, but this one didn't go out on the page. So is there a policy or a backup? And I know I had mentioned to you that I would like it, at least the meeting agendas, to go out by Friday, whether it's their day off or not, I don't care, whoever's doing it. Because that way they have the residents have the weekend to see if it's anything they want to look at the agenda, dig into the packet, you know what I mean? It's been going out on Monday, which I did tell you before that, I was hoping it would start to go out Friday, but this week it didn't go out at all. So I think we got to at least have a standard. I think we should set a standard as a board, however we do it, that the agenda packet, if we're going to have social media, goes out prior to the weekend before the meeting, just to give adequate time for review. However it does, even if it's just our packet, but I think that we should do that. Just make sure it gets out before the weekend.
Okay. Any other comments?
Yeah, I'm gonna comment as well. I quietly thought to myself, and thank you, Trustee Hayward, for your comments, because I saw the post, the summary on the township page, and again, I expressed very publicly more than a couple times that I do not believe the Township Times, if we're going to continue to use it, is a proper forum for one individual or one full-time elected's office to decide how the meeting is summarized when we have meeting minutes, which are adopted by the entire board, which serves as the official record. And also, we have a YouTube page in the era of technology, and we have people online on a regular basis. In my opinion, there's no need for us to even have these conversations, because I don't believe that any one individual, myself included, unless I'm representing myself as Jim Tedder on the Jim Tedder page, should be restating the meeting happenings, because there are too many other forums through which we get that information out to the public. And again, through YouTube, through the official minutes. There is no shortage of resources. And so I think it's very easy to manipulate a few words, say what might be deemed similarly stated piece of a meeting, but give the impression and make someone look different than what would be portrayed in a full meeting. And you need look no further than the 30-second sound bites on the news, where you can take someone who said something very credibly and you can piece it apart and make them look the fool. So I think it's a very dangerous and slippery slope, and I've stated this before. This is not the first time I've expressed a similar concern. And so what I'm asking and imploring is that as long as we adopt and utilize the Township Times as a tool, and as long as the township residents are forking over $3,000 a month, it should be limited to useful, objective information that no one is going to refute. And that could be the fire department's having its annual open house. Here are the new precincts we have for the upcoming election. Things that are objective, informative, and useful, not something to control a narrative. And so I think it's critical in the age of transparency, and it's certainly paramount for me, that we refrain from setting the record straight, because it's one person's record. Whether right or wrong, we have the proper forums through which residents get that information. So I had no intention of bringing this up and discussing this tonight, but I shook my head when I saw that post. And I don't know who to pin it on, if it's the supervisor or if it's our communications person, but ultimately I would say that it would begin and end with you as the one that signs off on that. So I'm not going to square any blame on her per se, but I'm just saying I was very troubled with what I read, because it kind of took bits and pieces of what I said and what other people said. It was represented as the official township summary, setting the record straight. And I think to the nth degree, it's improper. And I would like to, if we're going to keep the Township Times, that we refrain from doing that.
Okay. Clerk?
As a suggestion for the Facebook page, not necessarily maybe, I think we're sort of talking Facebook page and Township Times, kind of both.
Yes.
But in terms of the Facebook page and the synopsis or the wrap-up or whatever it's been called, I personally think it's great, because not everybody does watch our meetings. They don't attend, obviously. But I think it can be structured to be action items only, which is really the meat of our minutes. And we put in a synopsis. The clerk's office is required to publish a synopsis after every meeting in the Clarkston News as well. That could be used, and it could just be action items. I don't think we need the comments that, Carrie said Merry Christmas and, somebody passed away. We don't need that kind of fluff, I guess. And if there's contention or if there's high fives, I think action only, if it just sticks to that, which are emotions, would be sufficient, and I think it would be appropriate.
Just
As a
fact-based
suggestion.
is what you're saying, just fact-based. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
interesting that I went back and rewatched our discussion over the Township Times on May 6th. And we all had our opinions regarding it, and, I know Paul's not here, but he's the one that asked us to trust everybody, trust the three electeds, and that there would be no fluff and all this other stuff. And And then I went back and I read our motion, the motion from 2025-05-083 was made that that we would continue to resume the Independence Township Times, having no photos of elected officials appear in the articles, and for 2 trustees to review the content prior to publication, with a policy to be presented to the board for approval within the next couple of months. We never got that policy. So I don't know who was responsible for crafting that policy. We never got it. We got a social media policy that, was telling us what we can, wanted to tell us what we can and can't say, but we never got a policy for this Independence Township Times. So, and it was, Brittany, I believe, was there at the time, and she's the one that suggested the policy, so we added it to the motion. And we have no policy. So I don't know if it's, if it's something we can make even a motion on, that we suspend the Township Times until we get a written policy. Until such time do we get a policy on what we're gonna do and that we all agree on how this thing's going to be presented, other than just by, well, we say we're gonna do it this way, but we actually have to have a policy, because moving forward, and that's why she suggested it, because we're not all gonna be here. We're gonna have different people being responsible for the Facebook page and for the Township Times, and I really think it should actually be over the whole entire communications of our township, that we should probably have a policy on what we make official. So,
Any other comments?
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Okay, yes, Merry Christmas, everybody. All right, can I get a motion to adjourn then, please?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.